to my trembling lips. How did the night ever get like this? One shot and the whiskey goes down, down, down.
Star Marked, Chapter 1, Escape. My name is Star. I've long forgotten my last name. I live in a world with 3 races: wizards, angels, and humans. The humans in my world are way stronger than the ones we read about in fantasy books. Their strength actually amazes me. I'm an angel in Dimir. That should be where it ends, but unfortunately it doesn't end there. Sadly, some of us are marked. Why do I always get the hard jobs? The least they could do, since they forced me into this, is give me easy jobs. You must break into a mansion and steal some tech we need, I imitated my boss, Emion. I bet this tech isn't even all that amazing, at least compared to the stuff we already have. We have technology that can identify almost anyone, never mind the technology to make the healing process easier. That's only the start of it, too. To make things even harder, the place is decked out with really high security. I was sitting on the outer wall. I pressed a button on my earbud that was in my ear. It was barely visible to anyone that didn't know it was there. Just more technology we have. Hey, can you at least tell me the layout of the cameras? In a whisper. Sorry, I wish I could, but Emion's order. A mechanical voice came through the earbud. It was Kyle. He was my partner. I cursed under my breath. Emion loves to mess with me. That bastard. I don't care if he's the boss. I heard that. Whatever, I replied. I looked at the building. It had 3 floors. And so many goddamn windows. That's always annoying because these rich bastards always have to have their butlers and maids. I was looking at the right wall. It was hard to see in the dark, but I think the building was a pale blue. The cameras I could see with the naked eye in the dark were 3. One on top, one on the right side of the wall, and another one right underneath me. Fuck, why do I even have to think about this? Why can't I go to a normal school and live a normal life like any other 14-year-old boy? What's that even like? Is school fun? I sighed. I knew the answer to that, but still. Breaking in won't be easy. Never mind, I'm not wearing the best clothes to be sneaking around. I was wearing a light blue shirt, ripped jeans. It was the only pair of clothes I liked. I also was wearing a reddish-brown hoodie. Never mind that my hair was a bright light purple. Or the red eyes. That didn't help either. I was supposed to wear all black clothes, but this is the only damn thing I can get away with. It might be stupid, but it makes me feel like I haven't completely given in. My wings could have caused a problem, but I learned to wrap them around my chest and put my hoodie over it. Took me a while to learn that trick. I was knocked out of my thoughts when Kyle came back on the earbud. Hey! Emion said you need to hurry the fuck up, or me and you are in big trouble. He almost screamed into my ear. Kyle was scared of Emion, whether he wanted to admit it or not. I'm sorry, I don't know where the damn cameras are, and I don't want to get caught, I whispered, extremely annoyed. Stop complaining and get going. Fine, but you better be ready to book it. I pulled out 3 small knives from the inside of my pocket. I cut the wires connected to the camera underneath me. I threw the second knife at the camera at the bottom left of the wall, and it broke the lens completely. I couldn't reach the one at the top, though. I guess that means my only option is left. Gotta hope there's no cameras. To the left was the backyard, and thankfully there was no cameras in sight. To my dismay, there was a bunch of sleeping dogs. I pulled out the gun that was connected to my belt. Also connected to my belt was my dagger. My gun had a built-in silencer, just more of the technology we have. At first I refused to even hold the gun, but they said the bullets would only knock out the target. I shot 3 bullets at the closest dogs. I hit the first 2, but missed the third. The dog woke up and started barking. "Hey, shut up, you dogs!" a man screamed from inside. To my luck, the dog stopped barking, but he didn't go back to sleep. I reloaded the bullets and tried aiming, but the dog was walking around. I should have practiced my aim with the gun more. I sighed and tried to get closer. I jumped off the wall and landed as soft as possible. The dog's ear twitched and I stiffened. When I knew he didn't see me, I raised the gun and aimed as good as possible. I waited another 3 seconds and shot. Thankfully, I hit him and he fell softly to the ground. There was still 2 more dogs. I made those shots easily, though, since they were still sleeping. I walked carefully to the back door and looked into the window. A man was exiting the room. He locked the door as he left. Good, that means no one will be entering. I pulled out a bobby pin and got to my knees. "Star, move your ass! You've gone faster than this in the castle," Kyle screamed in my ear. It made me flinch and break the bobby pin. "Sorry, even castles don't have 5 dogs," I whispered back at him. "There are dogs? Well, shoot them and move on already." I did. Now let me focus on picking the lock. Fine, but hurry up. You should have just brought the automatic lock pick. I didn't like using the technology. Well, really, I did anything that made me feel like I wasn't a complete prisoner. I put the bobby pin in the lock and listened carefully. When I heard the satisfying click, I walked through the door. There was no way to see into the next room. I sighed. It's never easy. I put my ear against the door. I heard some muffled noises. Sounded like 2. I couldn't be sure, though. Shit, what do I do? I sighed and kneeled again to unlock the door. I cracked the door open to see how many people were on the other side. There were only 2 people, thankfully. Now, how to get through the room undetected. I shut the door louder, then opened it. As planned, the one man started walking to the room. I hid to the side of the door so when it opened I wouldn't be seen. He opened the door and looked around before walking in. He shut the door behind him as he cautiously walked further in. I snuck up behind him and covered his mouth. I pulled out the gun and shot a bullet into his arm. He passed out and I laid him against the wall. I patched up his wound. I get yelled at for doing it. I don't want to risk them getting infected. Then another man walked through the door and I repeated the process. I had to go through 2 more rooms, but the same process worked over and over. I was glad the tech I needed was on the bottom floor. I walked into the room looking around. Most of the room was empty. There were stray computer parts and wires. There was a chest leaning on the back wall. I walked over and opened the chest. Weird, why wasn't it locked? I questioned in a whisper. I suppose they didn't think anyone would make it this far. I shuffled through the expensive tech until I found the piece I was looking for. It was just a small chip. Why do we possibly need this? I sighed and worked my way back. Everyone I put out is still out, so I can just leave, hopefully. I ran the same way I came in. I was 1 room away when I was spotted. I hate karma, and I've got a bad case of it. I was still running, but a boy about my age walked into the room. He had black hair and bluish silver eyes. He screamed for his dad, but he didn't look scared. He looked serious. I was able to make it outside, but something was off. There was no alarms, no screaming. Why? I was spotted. This had to be planned. Have the Clave hit them before? Well, it doesn't really matter if they saw me. I'm not allowed outside the base anyways. "Hey, Kyle, get ready to run," I said through the mic in the earbud. What did you do? He asked. I'll tell you later. Fine, just get your ass over here. I ran to the spot where Kyle was waiting. He was in his black sports car. I looked at him, his tired silver eyes, his messy black hair. I felt bad. He had to do a lot more work than I did. I climbed in and he immediately casted the spell. The spell made any vehicle Kyle was in to go the speed of light. It was a very helpful getaway spell. I had a bad feeling now. I hope the boy didn't see my face. Not that it would matter. Still, with my karma, it would be safer if he didn't. I worked for the Clave, a mysterious organization. It might sound dumb, but I don't even know what the Clave is up to. Honestly, more than half its members are being blackmailed or threatened. Can't be anything good if they force people to join their cult. Kyle and me are living proof of this. They apparently have some dirt on Kyle. Me, those bastards have my sister. I would do anything to keep her safe, even if it put me in danger, mentally and physically. When I got back, I reported to Emion. He was wearing his normal uniform, a black jacket, shirt, pants, boots, and white gloves. He wore his badge showing his high position. It was golden with a red C on it. The jacket had white outline, and the gloves were cut in the middle of his fingers. He also wore the same expression, if you could call it that. He always held this straight, calm face. I'd love to punch it, but I can't. That obviously wouldn't end very well. How did the mission go? Emion asked. To answer, I tossed in the chip. Magnificent. So can I leave? Yes, but go straight to your room. I nodded inside. Room, more like cell. My room had gray walls and a gray floor and a black ceiling. My bed held a white pillow and a gray blanket. To add more color, I put pictures I drew up. Didn't help much, though. My sister always tried to convince me that they were good. I never believed her. I still don't. I tried to sleep, but something was bothering me. That was too easy, especially with that security. They must have known I was coming and wanted to catch me. That must be why the boy was so calm. Who is he, anyways? I never get much information. I just steal and other morbid jobs. I sighed. Who knows? That could be it, or I could be completely off. I was never any good at using my brain. I took off my hoodie and stretched my wings out. It always had that bright, snowy white color. It just didn't fit what I did. Not that I wanted to do it. More than once I wanted to dye it a different color. White was just too pure. I hated looking at my wings for that reason. It was a part of me, so I never did anything with it. Still, a small part of me kind of wished I did. I sat down and looked at my hand. There was a small mark on it. I was born with it. It was a trivial sun. The whole thing was black. It's called the Mark of Nothing. Kind of a lame name if you ask me. The whole reason I'm stuck here is this stupid mark. Why was I ever marked? I'm not any different than a normal teen boy. At least I didn't think I was. Never really met a normal teenage boy. When you're marked, you're given a power. It's not always the same. There is categories. I don't necessarily fit into any of those categories. I, for some reason, was given a mostly unique power. The most common category is runner. Runners can use one spell if they're not a wizard. The spell they use is the spell Kyle used earlier. I'm the first one in the category they call a miracle. I can watch any wizard do a spell and then copy it. I only need to see the spell once to do it. Guess that's why Emion is so desperate to keep me in check. I'd rather give him the power, take my sister and leave. I fell asleep a little bit after that. I woke up to a horn, got my hoodie, and walked up to Emion. He looked at me with a really weird stare. "What?" I asked. "Nothing." "Well, what's the mission today?" "You're going to the master ball at the castle." "No, I am not going to any fancy balls." "Wonder what your sister will have to say to that." "That's fine. Don't I need a ticket, though?" "Yes." He pulled out a ticket, and I grabbed it. I'd rather go to hell. I hated the idea of balls. Getting dressed up, covering your face in makeup, wearing jewelry. Why should you need to do any of that? It's cheesy, but I say be yourself. Oh well, at least he didn't say I had to dress up. Then, with my cruel luck, he handed me a suit. Oh, fuck me. "Why do I have to go anyways?" I questioned. "To watch a spell," Emion answered. Of course, I hate learning new spells, especially for these assholes. I went to my room and changed. Then I looked at the ticket. I've broken into the castle more times than I could count. Now I'm going as an invited guest. I wonder how Emion even got the ticket. Probably blackmail. An hour later, I was taken to the castle. A bright white with a yellow trim. The guards were doubled as expected. I see why Emion bothered to get the ticket. The ballroom was filled with people in fancy clothes. The room was huge, with a big chandelier in the middle. The room was white with gold flower designs. The king and queen sat on their thrones at the back of the room. The king was wearing his white suit and black bow tie. His hair was black and his eyes were blue. The queen had blonde hair and purple eyes. She wore a golden dress that covered her legs and dragged onto the floor. A man on the side of the entrance door introduced me. I didn't like the fact that Emion used my real name, although he had to make up a last name. He used Scarlet. I entered the room and sat at an empty table. Everyone in the room had wings. Of course, I should have known this was going to be a royalty ball. Anyone with royal blood had traits of all three species: angel, wizard, and human. You think Emion would have bothered to tell me. Then I spotted the princess. She was with a group of 3. Only one of the group had wings beside the princess, so they weren't royalty. Why were they here? Not only that, me and them were the only teens in the room. Great, just my luck. I'll definitely stand out now. Listen up, everyone. We'll be starting the magic show in 30 minutes, the king stated. Great, then I can bail. So what to do for 30 minutes? One of the girls that was with the princess walked over to me. She was wearing a purple and white sleeveless dress, also diamond earrings and a white scarf. Her hair was blue and her eyes were blue too. "Why, hello there." "Yo." "My, you don't talk like a prince." "I don't really like this fancy stuff." "Oh, well, may I ask for a dance?" "I don't dance, sorry." "Oh, come on, who doesn't dance?" I shook my head and she walked away. It's funny, she sounded more like a princess than I did a prince. Though I'm not really a prince, and I don't care much for acting like one. She walked back to her friends, and I saw them all give the only boy money. They must have bet on her getting me to dance. Seems like a normal group of friends. What are they doing at a royal ball? 30 minutes passed very slowly, but the show finally started. The show started with some basic spells like teleportation and shapeshifting. Then he announced that he would make a portal that could take him to another dimension, then come back in another place. So teleportation through dimensions. Intense. Must be what Emion wants me to learn. He performed the spell, and my power learned it just like that. Though I felt extremely lightheaded after learning a spell. The rest of the show took 10 minutes. Nothing else was really all that interesting. After the show, I bailed. No one questioned me. Though the girl I talked to earlier walked up to me again. "Hi, I just wanted to say bye," she said. "Bye. Sorry for not dancing." "No problem. What's your name?" I was about to answer when Kyle came in on my earbud. "The show's over. No time to talk." He was so loud I swear the girl could hear him. I waved bye, then ran out the door. Kyle drove me back, and I reported to Emion. "How'd it go?" he asked. "Fine, and I learned the spell, so..." "Okay, great. That will come into play later on." "Into play for what?" "Nothing you need to know. You just need to..." "I know. All I need to do is complete the missions." He nodded, and I went to my room. I changed and put my normal clothes back on. There's still 3 hours before curfew. Guess I might draw. I pulled out my sketch pad and thought of what to draw. The only thing that came to mind was the girl from earlier. I carefully sketched her hair and her dress and her scarf. It turned out great, so I hung it up on my wall. I woke up to another horn today. Again, I grabbed my hoodie and walked to Emion. It's all a routine. Today you will be breaking into the princess's home and stealing a book. A book? Really? Yes. It is called Advanced Magic for the Talented. Whatever. Where does she live? Wingville. Never heard of it. It's a small town. Oh, makes sense. Why does the princess live in a small town? I met up with Kyle and we got in his car. He looked on edge. He was staring at the wheel. "Hey, you alright?" I asked. "No, listen, you need to get out of here." "What do you mean?" I figured out what the Clave is up to." "What?" "And if you like Demir and how it is now, you need to stop helping the Clave." "But what about my sister? Is she worth the world?" "To me, she is." We sat in silence. He started the car and used a spell. How am I supposed to do a job after that conversation? For a princess, she had a weirdly normal home. It was a one-story and a sky blue. I also didn't see any security cameras. There was also very few guards. I entered through a window that led to an empty room. I cracked open the door. There wasn't anyone there, so I walked to a door labeled library. Of course, it's the only place with guards. Girl must love her books. The place was huge, too. Might as well call it a public library. It was weird. Kyle hasn't screamed at me yet. Is what the Clave is doing really that bad? Well, for now, I'll finish this job. I entered the library and hid behind a shelf. How am I supposed to find a book and avoid guards? Then I saw a big letter M. Oh, well that helps. I looked for A. There was one guard between me and the book. I sat there for 10 minutes trying to figure out what to do. I'm an idiot. I should just teleport. I can see my destination, so it would work. So that's what I did. It took me a few minutes to find the book, though. Now I gotta get out. Easy, I'll just teleport back. That plan went down the drain because an alarm went off when I took the book off the shelf. This girl must really love her books. I quickly started casting a spell. The spell made me fly just under the speed of sound. The guard barely made it around the corner when I took off. The princess and her friends ran into the room as I flew out. The guy in the group, who was also an angel, flew after me. He was really fast. He wouldn't be able to catch up to me, though. But he surpasses the normal speed of an angel by a lot. When I got to Kyle, he was startled. He immediately cast his spell and drove off. I was going to get out when he stopped me. "You have to leave," Kyle said with desperation in his eyes. "I know, I'm leaving tonight, but you're coming with." I have to believe him. It must be really bad, whatever they're up to. Me? But what about my car? Parked somewhere near Wingville. Wingville? It's a small town, perfect place to lay low. Okay, but how are we getting out? Just be in my room by curfew. I left and he drove off. I walked to where I normally meet Emion, but he wasn't there. Instead, Adrian was there. He was Emion's right-hand man. He wore the same suit, but with less badges. His hair was white, and his eyes were blue. Emion is away until tomorrow, so hold the book and give it to him tomorrow, he said in a monotone voice, and walked away again before giving me a chance to respond. He was more obnoxious than Emion. So now I have a day to find out where my sister is. Her name was Dusk. Just thinking of her name reminded me of her beautiful silver hair, her amazing dark gray eyes. She was my sister, and I planned to find her. I knew I wasn't allowed to walk around without someone watching me. That means I'll just have to listen into conversations. Conversations being held by loyalists. Loyalists are people who join because they wanted to. Although I don't know why they would want to join, but whatever. I was about to give up after 2 hours of stupid conversations, but then I stopped close to the meeting room. Some of our members are getting fussy, even with our threats, one man said. Yes, even Star. Maybe he knows where his sister is, another man suggested. Maybe we should move her, a woman stated. No! She'll be easier to track that way, the first man explained. Score! I know they won't move her. I can save her. I went back to my room to pack. My only bag. I packed my hoodie, some money. I also put the book and pictures in my bag. I don't think I'll be needing this book. Kyle arrived in my room an hour later. So what's the plan? He asked. I raised my hand with a mark on it. I was going to use the spell I learned at the ball. I opened the green and black portal. I could see hesitation in Kyle's eyes. I grabbed his hand and we jumped through. It was weird. There was no floor, but we were standing as if there were. There was nothing in sight, but we walked forward. It was like we were in a greenish-blue void. Kyle was very cautious, but still moving at a decent speed. I felt a sharp pain in my side. I took a guess and opened another portal. There was no hesitation this time. We landed right next to Kyle's car. Whoa, no way, Kyle said in amazement. Yep, pretty cool, right? I responded. More like awesome. Yeah, but why would Emion want it? Who knows? Who cares? So what's next? Well, we should rent an apartment and get a job. A job? Well, we need food and other necessities. True. I'll find the apartment. You start looking for a job. Okay. Come find me after. We nodded at each other and then went our separate directions. The town was small, and there wasn't many buildings. The tallest building was the school, which had 2 floors. I was walking down the main road. There was a lot of diversity in the town. I've seen a lot of angel, wizards, and humans. Most of the first town I've ever seen. Most towns are separated by race. Some are obnoxious enough to only allow one race. Some angel towns are in the sky. I was looking for a sign saying help wanted or something like that. I was walking for about 7 minutes when someone flew right in front of me. We both fell over and he was holding his head. I realized it was the guy that's friends with the princess. It's the first time I got close enough to look at him. He had dark red hair, red and orange eyes. I swear I could even see a tint of yellow. And his wings were white. He was wearing a black hoodie and jeans. He also had a brown pair of goggles on his head. It's the type of goggles professional angel racers wore. I wonder if he raced. Why did you fly into me? I asked. Because I wanted you to stop, he replied with anger. Well, couldn't you have tapped my shoulder or something? Damn, your head is really hard. It's your fault! I heard people running towards us. It was the princess and her other two friends. The princess had purple hair and dark blue eyes. Her white wings were bigger than the average angel's wings. She was wearing a light purple shirt and a pink skirt. Her friend had gray hair and gray eyes. She wore a black t-shirt and gray jeans. The girl who talked to me at the ball was wearing a blue and black flannel and blue jeans. Ace, are you alright? The princess asked. No, I ran into this idiot and he hit me in the head. Hey, you flew into me! Calm down, the girl from the ball said. Ace got up and removed his hand. His forehead was bleeding slightly. Oops, sorry, I guess I have a hard head. I apologized. The other girl ran at me with her fist in the air. The princess yelled at her to stop, but she didn't. Her name was Max. My reflex kicked in and I grabbed her wrist and flipped her. Sorry, you ran at me with a fist, I quickly apologized. Whoa, that was awesome, do it again, Max said. I looked at her in confusion and scratched my head. First she wants to hurt me, and then she's being friendly. I'm confused. Don't do it again, the princess said. Wasn't planning on it, I replied. My name is Glory. My name is Star, and yes, I know it's weird. And Glory isn't? Point taken, so what can I help you with? Well, these are my friends, Ace, Max, and Ashley. Nice to meet you. They didn't say anything back, so I was left awkwardly smiling and waving. Ace put a bandage on his forehead. This is not a good way to meet someone. Wait a minute, Ashley said. I've met you before. Really? Yeah, you were at the ball. Yeah. So why are you here? You don't look very princey, Ace said. He was definitely going to hold a grudge. Well, I'm not a prince. I was standing in for a friend. Likely story. Oh, don't be such a baby. Both of you stop, Glory screamed. I listened, but crossed my arms. Ace walked away, with a mean look in his eye. Then I was picked up by the back of my shirt. I looked behind me. It was a guard. You better come with us. Why? Someone broke into the princess's house. Oh, I guess I don't have a choice then. He carried me to Glory's house. There were 3 other angels there. I sat down and stared at the guard. He looked at me with wary eyes. Ace stepped in front of him, and I looked up at the sky. Hey, you're the one, aren't you? He said. No, but you won't believe me so, I replied. You're right, I don't believe you. Figures. So question, why does a princess live here? She wants to be normal, is that a problem? No, it's what I want to do. Though being royalty is still being better than being forced into the clave. No, I think it's cool, I said. Sure, why are you here anyways? I just moved here, I'm looking for a job. Job? What about school? Well, I live alone with a friend, and we need money for food and stuff. Well, if there's 2 of you, a part-time job should be good enough. Well, fine, I'll go to school then. After that, we had a 3-minute stare-off. I won because Glory pulled him away. I heard someone call my name. It was Kyle running down the street. Hey, what's up? I asked. What's up? Why are you here? Kyle asked. They're looking for the guy who broke into this house. Whose house? He must have been very distracted on that mission. Who are you? Kyle questioned. Kyle, Star's friend, Kyle answered. Or accomplice. Huh? Someone helped the intruder get away in a black car. I saw realization flicker in Kyle's eyes. I just hope no one else noticed. He looked at me because he didn't know what to say. Well, Kyle can't drive, so... How do I know you're telling the truth? How do you know I'm lying? Stop it, both of you! Glory screamed. Ace, we have no proof against Star. Star, don't provoke him! We both shut up. Kyle was scanning Ace. Honestly, I took this moment to get my drawings out of my bag. After all, Ace and all his friends were staring at Kyle. Kyle was staring at them. It was my time. I started looking through them. The first one was of Ashley, the next one was of Kyle, and after that was my room, and lastly was my sister. You could see her silver hair, her dark gray eyes, her white wings, and pink dress. She was smiling. I missed her more than I would like to admit. Ace walked up behind me and grabbed the pictures out of my hand. "Hey, give those back!" I screamed. "Oh, what are these? Evidence?" "It's not evidence, it's my private property." "Oh, well, I hope you don't mind if I look through them." I ran towards him, anger filling me. He took off into the air. I went after him. I know he couldn't look through them while flying. I caught up to him pretty fast and grabbed the pictures. I would have hit him, but seeing the picture of my sister calmed me down. It's amazing, even if it's not her, she's still keeping me from making mistakes. I flew back to the ground and sat down. Ace landed and I looked up. They all had a surprised look on their face. I was about to put the drawings back in my bag when a guard grabbed them. I knew I wasn't going to get it back easily, though I think the guard saw the desperation in my eyes. He promised I would get them back. Glory took the papers and looked through them. I sat there quietly. I acted out enough already. Even Kyle looked at me in confusion. A few minutes later, Glory looked at me. "These are great. Can I show the others?" she asked. I guess. I didn't feel comfortable with this, but I couldn't really say no. The others gathered around her and looked through the pictures. There was multiple gasps, not sure if they were good or bad. "These are amazing," Max stated. "They're okay," Ace said with a hint of jealousy. "The one of me is so detailed," Ashley said. "I have one question, though. Who is the girl in the first picture?" Glory asked. "Oh, that's my, sister," I stuttered. I wasn't sure why it was so hard to say out loud. I guess it felt weird calling her sister. After all, I let her down multiple times. Glory gave me back the drawings and I put them back in my bag. I stood up and looked at Kyle. "So, did you find an apartment?" "Yeah, enough space for the two of us. Did you find a job?" "About that." "Dude, really?" "Sorry, I got interrupted." I looked at Glory and Ace. Kyle understood. "Okay, I'll try to find a job and meet you at the apartment." "Cool, see you whenever." Kyle walked away, though he looked back once or twice. I looked at Glory and she looked at me. "So when can I leave?" I asked. "Not sure, it's up to my guards," she answered, a hint of annoyance in her voice. "Oh, well, I still need to find a job." I said it out loud, but it was more of a note to self. "Actually, I could use some help at my pet shop," Max stated. "Really? Willing to hire me?" "Sure, might even force you to." She laughed. I winced. I could tell it wasn't the first time. That would lead to unwanted conversations, though. I lay down and stared at the sky. It was getting to sunset. It honestly is nice not looking at a gray ceiling. It was a bit cloudy and windy, but it wasn't bad weather. The balance of yellow and orange and a hint of red was amazing. There was even with all those colors, there was still a bright blue and a white left in the sky. I love nature. It was more beautiful than anything I could draw. "So are you really going to school?" Ashley asked with a curious little smile. "Yeah, why not?" "That's great. Maybe we can be friends." I stopped and stared at the sky to glance at her. Friends. That would be nice. I realized how distant I sounded, but I couldn't help it. I've never had friends before. What is life like being a normal boy with friends, school, homework, even a job? Though I'm not in the clear yet. I haven't talked to Kyle yet, but I'm going to stop the clave. I can't just let them keep working. At least not if it is as bad as Kyle made it sound. Half an hour later, I was allowed to leave. I met Kyle in front of the apartment building. Kyle handed me a key and we walked into the apartment. The room wasn't huge, but it was big enough. The walls were painted blue, the ceiling white. The floor was made out of an oak wood. The beds were small and white. At least there were two. The apartment had 4 rooms. My room, the kitchen, the bathroom, and Kyle's room. I passed out on the bed and Kyle went to work. He worked for 12 to 16 hours a day. I felt bad that I'm only working for 4 hours a day. Kyle didn't seem to mind, though. He's always been really close to me. He even took the blame for me for some stupid things I've done. There's only one person closer to me than Kyle, And I haven't seen him in years. Emion wouldn't allow it. Hey guys, Fangbit Games here, and I hope you have enjoyed that. That is chapter 1 of Star Marked, and it is a story that I've actually worked on a lot longer than you might think, because I started working on it about a year ago. And I honestly planned to first make it an animation, and then I was thinking about making it a book. But then I decided I should put it on YouTube and see if people actually enjoy my writing. I had to edit it a bit because I've improved in writing since then, and it was honestly not as good as I would hope, but it's the first chapter and I really wanted to get out. The next chapters I'm going to put a lot more effort in. Not that I didn't put effort in this one, I definitely did, but the next chapters will have more fun and action in them. And honestly, I've had the story is extremely developed, but as you could probably hear, I am a bit sick, as you can see. But I really wanted to get this video out there, and I figured this would be easier to record than probably a game where I would scream or get angry. And I also felt like drawing, so there's going to be a couple of drawings in the background as I read. And I apologize for my horrible reading. I obviously messed up a couple of times. I stuttered a bit. But I was thinking about... I couldn't do it this time because my voice really hurts since I'm sick. But I'm probably going to do different voices so it's a little bit easier to follow the story for each person. But that will be more the next chapter. And I will probably try to make this a daily, once-a-week series. If I can, but the thing is I think I only have 4 chapters done. The story's a lot more developed in my head, but that's in my head and it's not on paper, so we'll have to see where it goes. I definitely do enjoy this, and I'm hoping you guys will like it too. Hopefully I'll feel better, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Wow.